Welcome to the spot. It's time to ignite. Oh yeah. Operation Hangout. The feeling's just right. Chilling with the crew. We're ready to groove. Opinions flying high. Come on, let's move. Hang out all night long, all night. Laughing and debating, playing our song. Oh yeah. Share your thoughts, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Operation Hangout, let's reach for the sky. Let's fly. Pull up a chair, let's get in the zone. Voices blend and smooth, like a funky trombone. Oh yeah. Topics from the heart, making us think. With a twist and a shout, raise up your drink. Cheers! Hang out, all night long, all night. Laughing and debating, playing our song. Oh yeah. Share your thoughts, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Operation Hangout, let's reach for the sky. Let's fly. Bring it down, shake it up, feel the beat. With every word we share, the circle's complete. Living loud, think it proud, that's what we do. Oh yeah. Join the club, come on through, we're waiting for you. Alright. Hang out, all night long, all night. Laughing and debating, playing our song. Oh yeah. Share your thoughts, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Operation Hangout, let's reach for the sky. Let's fly. Hang out.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back at it with another episode of Operation Hangout. You read the title, of course. Paper versus screen. I have an issue with paper versus screen because because there's some very good movies that came from books, and there's some really bad. But before we get into it, guys, do me a favor, hit the like, share, and subscribe. As always, I have my two main guys in the back. Let's get the first one in here. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise as the president enters the building. Okay, that's a new one. And our next person, and I have a new song for him. All right, David, please do me a favor. Just say it one time. I am Groot.
I am a meanie.
All right, let's go
What's up
around the
with the
circle.
what's up with the Richard Nixon salute? I was like, that's the only thing I can think of Richard Nixon because he did that.
There you go. He studied
I
politics.
All
have
right,
to.
Paul. Let's start with you. How are you doing tonight, my man?
I am doing well, doing well.
That's good, David.
Well, I'm watching what happened to TikTok at midnight. So I'll keep
Ooh,
my
that's gonna be
eye
a
on
big
the
one.
pulse. Oh, it's gonna. A lot of people are bumping from TikTok to Red Note, which is actually Chinese app on purpose, which doesn't make any sense. But hmm.
I agree with you. I'm not going to disagree. But we're not here for that. We're here to talk about
I know.
paper versus screen. I already gave you my little 2 cents, so I'll let you guys have the floor for a minute. Paper versus screen. Paul, you
Go
want to go
for it.
first?
Sure. I don't like the title. I don't like the terms. Um, I think people need to be a little bit more mature in this space. Quite frankly, I've been around a lot of people, and I've had debates with people over the years, and it's such an apples and oranges thing that why even compare the two? It shouldn't be paper versus movies or visuals, but it should be both paper and visuals because they're meant to do certain things. They're meant for certain audiences. They elicit different reactions. They speak to another part of the stimuli of human beings. So what you cannot to compare a 200-300 page book to a 2 hour movie. It's just, I mean, it's just um is it's a waste of time. But I so many times I've been to the movies or afterwards or whatnot. Say, hey, what you think of oh, the book was so much better. I just got so annoyed with that. It's just like, well, in many aspects, of course, it's gonna be better. Book, you can go in, you can do character development, you can do things you could do with the book that you can never do with the film, and vice versa. And it doesn't necessarily mean that the film was bad or the film was bad. Now, you can have a bad book or you can have a bad film. But to then arbitrarily say, well, the book was better, I mean, you're not advancing the conversation. So, but again, there are poorly made movies, period. From the acting to the pacing, the directing, the editing. There's a lot of things that can make a film bad. But it doesn't mean that you can't enjoy the book or if even if you read the book that there should be a part of you that you can kind of treat the film as its own entity because there's certain things you can do in movies that you can't do in books and vice versa. So I'm like, can't we all just get along in this space? But there's those, especially if you're, I think a lot of it too, again, if you are a reader, I know you have some very avid readers who, I think they may prefer reading to something else. It's a medium that they're more comfortable with. And for those people, they may say, well, um, their threshold for how they judge a movie is going to be better. Because again, you love you're going to spend a couple hours a night in a book. Me, I'm not. I have to force myself to read. There have been certainly novels, things that I read over time, but it's interesting as well because if I went back and read the novel, a lot of times it's because I enjoyed the movie. And yes, I can say, well, the novel was different, but at least it drew me to the novel. And I guess there was enough in the novel that stayed me connected to it. Because a lot of things, I may just pick up a book off the rip and start reading, and I have to focus a lot of times to keep my interest in it. But sometimes the novel has enough in terms of the characters or the general plot lines that I stay connected to the book and I can get to the end of the book despite the differences that I might have saw in the film. So I think the book can certainly help the movie or the TV show, whatever it is, it can help the book and vice versa. But the criticality that I see out of people when trying to compare a book to a film is like you're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. They don't belong in the same conversation, at least not to that degree where you're judging one by the other. Is it a good film or not? Even if they take liberties that were not in the book, can you look at the film as a project or creativity in and of itself? And I think if people did that, they could then enjoy both of them in their own ways. But that was just something that just I grew up with. A lot of book nerds, a lot of geek nerds and whatnot. No disrespect to anybody, but it's like, man, y'all just love taking a piss in a public pool. I liked it, but you got to pee on it because You didn't like it, and you just want to ruin it for everybody else because you were offended that it didn't. The book was, you were outraged that the film didn't align up with the book. I mean, get over it. So that's kind of my general sense on it. I just don't think that there has to be this back and forth. But some people are more critical than I am, I guess. So I guess I attribute it to that. You're muted, David.
I had to put my glass on, but I am glad Mr. Paul Bennett went before me. I almost agreed with him to a certain degree, but I realized there's something odd about it. Yes, there had been an age-old argument going back to the 80s when you want to compare the books to the movie. Sometimes the book that you're reading, if you want to compare it to the movie, you find out a lot of things are missing, or you feel like it's not meant to be a movie, it's meant to be a series. So I will have to be on the other side with the Paul Bennett because he do have a very solid point on that aspect of it. But yet, I hate to say it, but the American Movie Production Society have not been doing justice when they're making movies based on books. Perfect example. I know it may seem like a low blow. The Reacher. You have a movie that describes the main character as someone who is tall, with a broad build, who built like a tank, solid individual, but you have a short man named Tom Cruise portraying that character. How you do that? You go to another one, Doctor Strange. I can mention so much in that detail, but I'll keep quiet about that. But there's the issue behind it because if you want to make a movie based on the book, there has to be a level of respect to the book. I know, and I understand what the Paul Bennett is trying to say. You cannot expect the movie to mirror that of the book. I get it, I understand it, but at least try to be close to it. Try to pay homage to it. Try to have some level of respect to the book. There have been too many trash movies that did not follow the book. It drew a huge fan base that was following the book, who's hoping to see the movie. I bought the book called Lord of the Rings. I'm not gonna lie, that book is massive. I tried to read, but it will take me at least 3 months of constant reading. And me, I want to spend an hour a day reading a chapter or so just to sink in, indulge myself to go into that realm of that book. And many people who have read the book said the movie was up to 60%. That's a huge compliment. I don't hear many movies have gotten up to 50% of the book they're trying to portray. Then again, there are some books that it should never be on a movie, to be on a series or so. But the person who wanted to write the script for that chose not to and did a massacre of it. So I would have agreed with Mr. Bennett, but I would have to disagree because it's good to have people who are avid book readers who like to take their time to read the book and read the detail of the story. And when you hear they're gonna make a movie, the first thing comes to your mind, and I hope they don't murder the book. But when you see too many actors and directors who try to produce such movies that is supposed to mirror the book and did a very poor piss job, this is where we have this debate that been going on for more than 30 years and counting. Which is better, the movie or the book? The book or the movie? It's not going to end if you continue to have bad directors. So I will have to be on the other side. I would have loved to agree with the Paul Bennett. He do have a point anyway, but I also do got a point whereby if you're going to make a movie based on a particular book, at least try to have some respect for it. Don't just butcher it. Because there are people who come to these movies that based on the book and looking to see something that's gonna be close to it. So you will have to respect the audience. That's my feeling on that one.
So my opinion is similar to both of you guys. I'm going to use some cheap examples. Walking Dead, a show. So they had time to develop their characters very, very well. The beginning of a couple of seasons, they stuck pretty close to the storyline. I would say probably 80%. I'm coming a little slack. 80%. It is a show. They're only allowed to do so much on air, but it was pretty close. But they all of a sudden they went to the left. I'm like, and they were like off topic completely. And then hardcore fans like myself like start bitching like, "Yo, what the fuck, dude?" And then it came back on. Then eventually they kind of destroyed the whole series. It was like done. I think people got burned out with zombies at that point. Let's say enough is enough with zombies. All right. Well, Lord of the Ring, great example. I have read the book personally too. The book are, I think it's bigger than a goddamn Bible. To be honest with you guys, is how big it is. Is three like I think it's like Bible of the Bible of the Bible of the Bible. That's how big it is. Like the encyclopedias are smaller than that damn thing. It's a great story. If you get a chance to read it, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. And I'm not a big reader, to be honest with you guys. I'm not a big reader. I like relaxing and watching movies and stuff like that. So by saying that, they 60%. No, David, I'm wrong. I'll say it was only 30% they put in the movie from what was actually in there. That's my personal opinion. Hang on. Hold your thought. Hold your thought. I'll give you the floor next. The other one that I am going to push back also is Harry Potter. I've never been a big Harry Potter person because of my religious beliefs, but I had to do a paper on it, so I had to read it when I was younger. So by when I read it, I realized Harry Potter books as they go further down, they're actually very dark. And they didn't go near how dark it is actually. So another great example, Spider-Man, the first movie. I was so excited to come out. Show off. I yeah. It, do me a favor, David. Can you see the last page? How many pages there are in there total, please? Um, Spider-Man, the Tobey Maguire. They were nowhere near what the original story was. How, yeah, some parts was how he got his powers, but it never talked about how he developed his web shooters. It never developed that. But the beginning, it was very close to it,
The
but
last page is 1,178.
Jesus Christ, that's humongous. But it's a detailed story. Tom Clancy's books. I have read a lot of Tom Clancy books. I love Tom Clancy. That is my dude right there. Like, if I could have a crack a beer and he was around, I will crack a beer and pick his brain. That's how much. I love his books. And a lot of his stories, they came out into screen or nowhere near, not even 5%. But again, it like Poe and you said, is a movie. We gotta cut him slack when it is. You only have so much time to do things. I am more okay in a movie if they do part one, part two, and part three. Like if they did Laurel Rings, for example, Fellowship of the Fellowship is the first one, right?
Fellowship of the Ring.
Thank you, Fellowship of the Ring. If they did part one and part two, I'll be great, great, okay with that, and they probably make more money. Just FYI out there. But again, they didn't do that. They wanted to push it out. Why are we cutting corners when you don't need to? The question I have tonight. Who wants to go first to that? Go ahead, David.
I want to push back on that. I get what you're
Go
saying
ahead.
because in the theater version compared to the director cut version, two different things. I got the director cut, and from what I've told people who have watched the director cut, said it was up to 60%. And I may have to do it my own way and read it and see compare because one, it took them a whole entire year to produce Lord of the Rings, which is the longest time anyone took to produce any movie. In some cases, in most movies, what's the average amount of time that they took them to produce? It was like 3 or 4 months.
6 months is the average.
6 months is the average. Lord of the Rings took them a whole
Back then.
entire year.
Back then. Just keep
I
that in
know
mind.
Lord of the Rings took them almost a whole entire year. It almost went beyond a year just for one chapter because there was so much detail to cover. There's so much detail to put into the movie. Which I give them respect for because the director himself, he was very careful not to murder the movie. But the author of the book did something that no people can ever thought of doing. He created a whole civilization. He created multiple language, which I don't think anybody understand how difficult that is. I'm a nerdy ass person, and to look in, I've read a lot of books back in the day, but to create your own language for a storyline from A to Z, and you break it down and you have it in detail like that, and you build a civilization and try to tell a story, that's a lot of work. And even though now they're doing this Amazon series of Lord of the Rings, I even feel like if you want to do the book justice, even though you did the movie, you might want to do the series from start to finish. And I'm sure it'll be like maybe multiple seasons, if I'm correct. And I get what you're saying. You may feel like maybe it felt like 30% to you, maybe you're correct. Two can be true at the same time, but I get it, and that's why I say I against what Mr. Paul Bennett you cannot criticize. But if you would take such a powerful book that have a huge fan base, and you say you're gonna make a movie of it, right? And people who are familiar with, but again, Lord of the Rings had a animated adaptation back in the 70s. Did it not? And that was a fraction of what the book was.
How long was that movie? Do you remember?
Like an hour or some change. They used to broadcast on WPIX 11 back in the 80s. I remember.
But how far is it from the book, in your opinion?
It's about maybe 10, 15% of it or less. So I get what you're coming from because this is why I have lost a lot of interest in the movie industry in the United States. Because I feel like they putting too much trash ass movie out there. They're not really putting out masterpiece. But we look at other region of the world, Japan, China, India. Oh, 1978. Thank you, EJ. Some people want to make sure if they're gonna make a movie based on the book, they make sure that they're as close to as possible to the detail of the books, so that the people who are familiar with the book who want to see the movie hope that it did it justice. I'm gonna be a very severe critic when it comes to the movie industry of the United States. The past 10 years, how many great movies that you can say within the past 10 will be an iconic movie?
That's a hard one, actually.
That's my
Like,
point. Because there was too many duds.
the only last movie that I can say that followed the book 80, no, 95% to the story. And there's a reason why they did it like that, too. Because the backlash they would get from people. The actual survivors helped, they wrote the book and helped produce the fucking movie. Do you know what movie I'm talking about?
What movie?
13 Hours.
Mm.
I met the survivor. I met Chris Tanto. I showed pictures. I will post pictures again if you guys want to see it. I met him, and he even said it because I went to a book signing down in Pennsylvania, Jim Thorpe, It's about an hour and a half where I live now. Back then, it was 45 minutes where I lived in Mount Pocono. Great guy. And I even asked him, "How did you get close to the book?" He said, "Simple. We were not going to sign off to it until we get it perfect. We understand we had a couple things out because it is Hollywood in the day, but we wanted to keep the story as close as possible." That's why I think the movie's 3 hours long. Hang on, I'll look it up right now. How long is the movie? 13 hours. And it because it is a humongous movie. Where is it? How long is this fucking thing? Um, but as I'm looking this up, they did it. That shows you right there. It is possible. So why do we have to always take shortcuts? I'm not saying it's going to happen in every case. I know you're going to disagree with me, Paul, and okay, I want you to disagree with me because I know every case is unique. But when you don't need to take shortcuts, why do we are taking shortcuts? That's my question here.
It's not about what shortcuts are we talking about? First of all, how much money does it cost to write a book? In practical terms, don't give me the details about the publishing house and all that. You sitting down because you have some creative talent and you sit down in your basement, in your office, wherever you get your inspiration from, and you write a book. It costs you virtually nothing to do that. Nothing.
I agree.
But how much does it cost to make a
Millions,
film in
millions.
today's market? Hundreds of millions of dollars. So what shortcuts are we talking about? There's no shortcuts. It's just either it's bad writing, bad directing, but it's not about the money. They're not taking shortcuts to these films. They're putting way much more on the line than the author of the book. Way
Mhm.
more. So when I hear about these shortcut things, it's like, look, it's either good or it's not. Judge it on that. The second thing I'm talking about here is again, most of these films, it's even in the lead up to the film. They call it an adaptation because you know you can't do everything that's in the book. So you're told ahead of time. This movie is an adaptation of what is Shelley Finkel or whatever it is. So for you to even go into the theater expecting it to be like the book, when they tell you ahead of time, or even in the thing, in the trailer, they'll say based on the novel by such and such. You should already know that they're not trying to nail it right. It's inspired by that particular piece, but it's not meant to be a thoughtful translation or verbatim of what the book was.
I'll give you that.
So for you to go in there with that expectation and then say, "Oh, but they told you from jump it was never supposed to be that." And there have been instances where the film is actually in a lot of ways better than the movie. Case in point is Jaws, which interestingly enough, I've been revisiting over the past weekend. The original book by Peter Benchley back in 1973, the producers got early copies of the book. They loved it. They said this would make a great movie, but they knew that they couldn't redo the book because the characters in the book are very different than what's in the film. And the book was much more graphic in terms of the violence. That if you want this to be a major film back then, you couldn't just produce an R-rated film. It never would have been the block back then. R-rated films typically were not blockbusters. So they had to cut out some of the violence that was described in the book. And they had to play on not so much. There was only 4 minutes of the shark shown in the film. Total 4 minutes. So they played on suspense. They played on cues, shots under the water. They didn't show it. First of all, the mechanical shark kept breaking down in the film, so they couldn't show a
Yeah,
lot
I
of the
remember
shark
that.
anyway. And there's certain parts in the movie that were never in the book that if you take it out of the movie, it destroys the movie. The my favorite part of Jaws is the nighttime scene when they're in the cabin and you have the main skipper of the boat. He talks about his experience on the Indianapolis. Go and YouTube that if you never saw it, if you remember from the film. It is one of the greatest lines. It's one of the greatest scenes in cinema history. Where they brilliantly incorporate the USS Indianapolis, World War II. They delivered the bomb to Titan Island to be dropped in Hiroshima. He talked about that, and coming back, they got torpedoed. 1,100 men had to evacuate. They were in the water. They were in there for 5 days because the mission was so secret. The Navy didn't even know they were out there. They were spotted by an overflying plane. That's the only reason they were saved. 5 days they were on the water. Only 300 and something came out of it. The sharks ate the rest. Gave you a big insight into what drove the man. It's not in the book, but it's brilliantly incorporated into the movie. And the movie was such, you want to talk about blockbuster. Before Star Wars, there was Jaws. I'm old enough to remember the mania reaction. People were scared out of their minds by only 4 minutes of the shark being shown. But nevertheless, it became such a blockbuster of the time. In today's money, it would have made $1.6 billion domestically. And the writer of the book, he went on to sell 20 million copies of it because of the movie. If it wasn't for the movie, yeah, it might have made maybe a few 100,000 copies. Yeah, it could have been a bestseller, but it went on to sell 20 million copies. So it doesn't have to be the book versus the movie. The book can help the movie and the movie can help the book. It doesn't have to be a one-to-one translation here. Either the movie is good or it's not. And the way they did the movie, in my humble opinion, is way more exciting and thrilling. The ending in particular, where the shark gets blown up, than how the book ended, where the shark simply is coming for Brody at the end of the film and it dies because of puncture wounds that were given to it by spearing by Flint earlier parts of the book. The shark just dies. Doesn't have the thrill, doesn't have the suspense, doesn't have that scene about the Indianapolis. A lot of good stuff that was added. And they were overrun, over budget. So cutting expense, they were way over budget for that film. And they had delays because of shooting, because the shark wouldn't work and everything. They went all out, but still, they stayed the course and delivered the movie. And the rest is it. The movie was so successful, it even helped the original, the Warner Brothers, whoever came out, the company itself, their stock went up by 22%. So yeah, movies can make a difference in terms of your book sales if you do it right. And that's the issue. Either it's a good movie or it's
hang on
not.
a second. The people who did the movie was Universal, by the way.
Universal, thank you. So yeah, their stock went up 22%. It was a huge, it was a cultural phenomena. It was mania. It was Jaws mania. They used to show TV commercials to promote the film of people live in the theater screaming their heads off, running out of the theater. It was a cultural phenomena. So yeah, The Godfather. Shout out to Mario Puzo. I didn't know about The Godfather movie until I watched the movies. I think I watched The Godfather almost religiously, like at least once a year. It's like The Godfather 1 and 2 for sure. 3, I liked. It wasn't as good as the first 2, but I watch it every year. But guess what? I went back and read the book because of my love for the Godfather movie. And so you can say, well, the Godfather movie only got maybe 60, 70% of the book. But again, there was enough in the movie that I couldn't put the book down because the book I felt filled in details that I might have been asking from the movie, but it filled it in. So it can work. It has worked. And so again, instead of having this sort of hostile relationship or this books versus this or that or whatever, I mean, look, just take them for what they are. If it says based on in the trailer, if it says adapted from this, then you should know that. So why get upset about it because you think it your expectations were ruined because I had so much more for this movie? But that's what an adaptation is. You want to call it butchering, but again, but that happens all the time. And the last thing I'll say on this point, I think there's a lot of hypocrisy here because people talk about, especially when it comes to comic books, they're the biggest hypocrites, in my humble
Oh, we
opinion,
are.
because they change if the writer changes, if the artist changes, they change comic books all the time. How many comic book series of Superman have been out
Let's
there?
count.
From the original DC, from the Silver Age to the Man of Steel to the New 52. Where's the vitriol then? Oh, they changed his costume. Go back and look at the original Superman costume versus what it is
I'll give you a better
today.
example, Paul, really fast. When they changed the webbing on Spider-Man, they called it the spaghetti web because the way it was drawn versus a straight line, it was an outburst.
Mhm.
But now that is the point. That is the standard to draw the webbing like that.
But again, but his costume has changed over time. So remember, Spider-Man used to have the
Yeah.
webbing under his arms, I guess, to help him. That was a thing for a while. What happened to that? So again, so everybody in the comic book world, they'll change it up. They'll change how he looks. They'll change long hair, short hair, more muscular over time. Change the suit design. Change the origin story. Even in the film, Superman, the film, the movie, 1978. How was Krypton destroyed? Was Krypton itself destroyed? Or did the sun that Krypton surrounded, which was in the movie, Krypton wasn't destroyed in and of itself. It's the sun, the red sun exploded, and then Krypton was exploded. So they changed the origin of that, but it didn't matter. Because for the first time, you're seeing they made you believe that a man could fly. Christopher Reeve nailed it. So I mean, I just think that people just are so anal in their expectations. And I'm just saying, chill, take it for what it is. I'm not saying you have to like the movie or love it, but can we treat it just as we do with everything else, with every comic book, every time they come up with a new title, every new banner, every new series? How many times the Hulk has changed over the years? First, he was gray. Then they made him green. Then they made him when he had that buzz cut, with the bald all the way around his head. Then they made him with long hair. Then they made the Hulk he could speak, and then they made him where he's Smart Hulk, Red Hulk, all these different ones. Nobody says anything about that. So I'm just saying, people, bring it down a little bit. That I guess that's all I'm saying. And this is probably the most animated as long as I've been in this YouTube space. This is probably the most animated is what you will ever see me in this space, because this has been my whole life, going back and forth, getting into arguments with people getting way out of proportion in their outrage about they did that. I can't believe they did that. And oh, that was so horrible. Oh, they took it away. Oh, I hate this. I hate the world. I hate it's a movie. It's entertainment. We're supposed to have fun here. Let's,
Hey, Paul, question really fast. Are you losing your voice?
No, I get this is like I said, this I keep the temperature pretty mellow in these spaces. But you're hitting on the thing that probably gets me the most animated.
Jackpot.
So yeah, this is a new side. So I'm revealing this is kind of this is the human side of Spock, so to speak. This is Spock out of this is me, in Pod Far or something like that. I'm not in my right mind right now.
Let me add on to the contradiction on the comic book. When you mentioned the Hulk, I remember that. And I saw one particular edition they had out there, and they said all those version of Hulk that you're talking about, it fall under the same Hulk, meaning it based on whatever trigger with person that may come out. And I was confused. I was like, where's this coming from? Because I was a big fan of the Hulk. And next you know that their book are showing the spectrum of Hulk, meaning what caused these different versions of Hulk. And they're saying that all these versions are still under the same Hulk, but something can trigger one or the other. I was like, okay, now I get what you're coming with the comic book. Comic book have been contradicted. What I've been trying to point out, there will be on our future episode on Anime Unlock, manga versus comic book. Because we're going to go into a deep dive about that. Because what you're referring to is a lack of consistency. Now, the reason I'm saying there should be an argument between book versus movie, I'm not going to base comic book or comic book change their view on the storyline the same way they change their underwear. So I cannot trust them on that. But when you're making movie based on books that had a huge fan base, you still and you have a solid argument of the yet the year according to Jaws. I respect that. I cannot argue that point. Yes, that movie helped the sales of the book. I totally agree with you.
20 million. What book has ever sold 20 million in the 70s?
And I had to agree to
20
it. I
million.
cannot argue that point. But now as time has changed and how the level of criteria have come to place, it becoming very critical. And when I'm saying critical, I'm wondering, are they producing great directors, great producers who have a strong level of creativity? Because as I look at the movie industry in the US, it's almost piss poor, to be honest with you. Look what I said within the last decade. How many movies do you think will be a icon? And I haven't been in theater in a while. Even before the pandemic, there was some movie I was looking at. I'm not feeling it. And now you look at even after the pandemic, it's more than enough reason you to work on your creative chop. But these days, it's almost as if whenever someone will do an adaptation of the book on this soil, you got to take a huge grain of salt, not a pinch, not a handful.
The question with that salt is it
Remember,
kosher salt
a,
or table
a
salt?
shovel. I'm combining all the shovel of sea salt, table salt, and all other salt you can think of combined together and put on that because you're not sure if you will wish you didn't spend your money. You know how many time I hear people say they want the money back when they go to the theater and find the movie was trash?
I have never said that straight up. To be honest with you, but I have
I
people
mean,
say that. Now, is it okay for you guys that you know what the movie was okay, but the book was better?
in some cases,
I wouldn't even say better. It's to be better, they have to live in the same class. They have to be in the same category. It's like two athletes
Hmm.
going at it. You have to be playing the same sport. They're different sports. So why am I going to say that this is better? Either it's a better book. I say I like this book was better than that book, or this movie was better than that movie. But I think it's a category mistake to say, well, the book was better than the movie, or the movie was better than the book. Like I said, they're two totally
and,
different
and
stimuli
I'll give you
in
that.
the
I'll give you that
brain.
argument because when people reading the book, they're basing it on their imagining what they perceive what the book is telling them. That's out of the back.
Yes.
Another thing, the book is not even a graphic novel, which give that position whereby you cannot compare the book, which I also understand. Now, let it be a graphic novel, and it's huge, and there's so much detail, and it shows the scene. Then I would
Walking
say,
Dead, for
yeah,
example.
walking there for. Then I would say yes. But there's some book that the description there has some pictures in between, but not all the time. But it give you a look of things. Don't even have map. Then you guys say, you know what? Now you can't. Like I need to find a book called The Doom. Because Doom's another iconic movie that was done before in the past and got remastered again. And now it's on Netflix. I watched the part one. I was like, I like it. It seemed look a little bit better than the old version.
Yeah,
But I need to watch
I had
part
seen
two.
reaction.
But still, I haven't read the book.
Me neither.
So
Eric
this is
has. I know.
something.
I know.
This is something.
Yeah.
Here's my thing. When it comes to book versus movie, I have been, like I said, I'm a beyond tough critic with it. I have an issue with it because for some apparent reason, some people don't know how to do an excellent job of being the producers. Large section of the movie, I never read that book. I wouldn't even care about. But what I'm talking about, I watch the movie industry. I wonder where they get these scripts and these ideas from. And nine times out of ten, the storyline sucks real bad. All they're doing is putting some little action or made up some scene, some fight choreography, whatever, hoping some explosion make that will sell. No, you need to have a storyline that makes sense. And I get turned off, and I think maybe you think the American public is dumbed down or something. Then when you want to do a movie now, forget the movie industry right now in the U.S. It's now leaving the U.S. and now going to the streaming platform. Amazon have the money to produce movie and TV series. So does Netflix. Now you can't call them US based when Netflix is now a global based company that have reached in almost every region around the world. Amazon is competing with them. They think to jump into the market. They realize the global industry has changed. But at the same time the global industry has changed, movie production has changed as well. Some regions of the world are doing a better job than the United States if they do the adaptation of the book. That's the problem. And why is that? Let me see. Hold on. I love that movie, Fast and the Furious. Took me ain't anime, but they want the movie Fast and the Furious. I think it's not based on a book.
I don't think so either.
It was based on a particular idea,
Street racing.
and which is free racing. But for some fair reason, it opened a doorway because let's be honest, street racing have been a huge thing in the U.S. That later on transitioned to Japan, as well as some other regions of the country of the world. But it's not heavy globally. But that movie itself was based on the customization of cars, which a lot of car maker was fighting against. They didn't like the fact people would buy their cars, take it somewhere and customize and give it its own unique look. Because people don't want it to be cookie cutter look. But now realize there's a huge market behind it. And when that movie hit, then all of a sudden, no disrespect, Ford is a copycat. They give you different versions of the Mustang, which they're allowed to happen. So when it comes to Fast and the Furious, it wasn't based on a book. It was based on an idea that grew to something much bigger than what it is. And how that got their storyline, I don't know. But I had to give prop where prop due because
So a little
it's
backstory on Fast and the Furious. So they got the idea from street racing, but original idea came from a magazine called Race X that Ken Lee wrote the magazine, and he's huge. So you a little bit wrong there, also, David. The Japanese, yeah, Japanese racing was before Fast and Furious came out. They've been drifting, longest drifting. Drifting's huge in Japan. I mean,
that I'm aware of.
humongous. Definitely in the villages because they drive around around the
I'm
mountain.
aware of. I'm aware of that. Yes, I'm
Yeah,
very aware of that.
and a guy called DK, not Donkey Kong, like most people think it was. DK stands for Drift King. He's actually a real person. He was actually in the movie. He was a fisherman, believe it or not. I mean, he's making a comment like, "Oh, he's getting good finally," or some shit like that.
Oh,
So
I remember you talking about. I remember him. Yes.
yeah. So by that said, this was supposed to be a one or two series, one or two movies, and that's it. I think it was one originally, if I'm not mistaken, and it just took off like crazy, and it just got too much. It got to the point now they're not even racing; they're fucking flying out of fucking planes with a car, kicking, carrying a fucking safe in the back, and like, oh, this is supposed I can still fucking save with this one car. Like, are you fucking stupid, or should I smack you now?
But the thing is, the movie itself, it brought a lot of questions. I know people was asking, is it based on a book? Is it based on a book? Because the story is almost connected. There was a level of consistency in the franchise on Fast and the Furious,
No, you're wrong. You're wrong.
a certain level, but wasn't all the way through. I didn't think it was consistent all the way.
For
It
a
was a
first
certain.
couple, the only thing was consistent, and I'm gonna put a hard back on this one, is the vehicles would shoot up, not even racing, because they were from street racing to like course racing in the middle of the fucking street. You show me a fucking course in New York City or any major city that street racers can do that, and they can get away with it. No cops will come after them. That's
Not
my point.
possible. Not in New York.
Any
Yeah, but
city, United States, I said any city. Name one.
hmm, I wouldn't say Florida, but Florida had some crazy cops.
And here's the
Um,
funny part now, David. Overseas, their cars are so suited up to catch them. They use supercars as cop cars.
I know
Yeah. So I only
Oakland.
um yeah, I don't think they can do that either. But my point is trying to get is with this Fast and Furious franchise, it's too far right now. Like, it should be it should be shot by now. David, I mean Paul, what are your opinion on Fast and Furious? Are you a
Yeah, I mean,
fan?
it went from sort of like I said, like you said, like a street racing type of
Yeah.
thing to then doing these gravity defying canyon jumping things. It's like the Dukes of Hazard from back in the day when the General Lee would jump
I'll
over
cut you off one
ravines
second.
and rivers and stuff, and the car would be fine. I mean, it you got to suspend reality because the stuff was just too crazy. It became about the aerial tricks in the cars than something that was entertaining. So I just think I think that the effects just went too. It was just too much for me after a while.
So I'm gonna add a little twist to it. Now, if this movie was called, let's say, Call of Duty, I'm looking at the poster, for example. Okay, I can see the fantasy because it's not a real story. Seriously, I'm gonna poke your eyes out. If it was,
Call of Duty.
I'm using an example. Okay, Battlefront, better. Fortnite. I'm using something. Shut up over there. You're in timeout. I mean, any fantasy driven, like you have no level, no barrier, no rules. You can break any rules you want. Okay, I can give you a slot there. Come on, dude. But now you're like, you went from street racing outlaws to illegal again to outlaws again to
Vigilante,
mercenaries.
vigilante mercenary kind of thing. Yeah, vigilante mercenary. Yeah, you got a point.
It doesn't make like okay when they brought the Rock in, I thought he was going to capture them and then cut credits. End of series. Goodbye. Salute. See you. Have a great day. That's what I thought it was going to happen. To be honest with you. Then he's talking about baby oil on their foreheads. And
No,
actually,
first
the
and
fun
foremost,
fact
no. Fun fact, that was actually a real joke thrown at each other between
that's where I was going to go
Tyrese
with this. Yeah.
and Dwayne, but they kept that in this scene because The Rock did him real dirty, and the director thought it was so funny they kept it on purpose because that was like a low blow. I was like, oh God, why you do that?
So That's where I was gonna go. Like it was supposed to be another joke, so I don't remember how exactly it broke down to the T. And Rock walks in and goes, "Hi, how you baby oil, for your forehead or some shit like that." Like because he lobes up on his body, baby oil, get it? But anyway, my point is trying to get that is when the Rock came in, they should have ended it there. But then they did a spinoff. Okay. The spinoff I actually liked, to be honest with you guys, because it wasn't about racing. It was about two dumbasses trying to beat the shit at each other and save the world at the same time. So I could have got back behind that. But now they went back to let's race through cars again. And I'm like, huh. And the cars are bringing into it. Some of them are like, okay, a Dodge. Okay, whatever. Now you're talking about they're racing a what was it? A Lamborghini in um what Middle Eastern country? I can't remember what it was now. From
It,
from
I
floor
see what
to
you're saying.
floor to floor to floor to
I see
floor.
what you're saying because it got so crazy that they even made a animated series on that on Netflix for Fast and the Furious. Which even even I was trying to understand that there was a level of consistency from the first two or three movies, yes, but as the time progressed in all the franchise, the boy correct, it took off to somewhere unheard of. What I'm trying to get a understand, it's like they decided to see how far can we go with this franchise, how far can we milk it. What they really are milking it, if you ask me. The spinoff was a idea because The Rock brought a lot of viewers or a lot of moviegoers to the movie, and they felt like maybe they have a spinoff with him and Jason. What his name? Forgot his
Jason
last name.
Stratham, I think
Yeah,
Jason
Stratham.
something like
Statham.
that.
Yes.
But I'm gonna go back to a comment Paul made a few shows before. What has The Rock done is like a franchise like Arnold and all these other guys. He stepped
Yeah,
into
he hasn't had the like defining role. Arnold's had three, right? He's been Conan, he's been the Terminator, and who was the third? There was another one that he. I mean, those are obviously his biggest ones. But
Conan,
again, not what's that?
Conan,
Conan,
Terminator.
Terminator, and oh, I mean, even though it was only one film, Predator, I would have loved to have seen him in a sequel of Predator. But again, he's had those blockbuster movies. I don't think The Rock has had what I would consider a blockbuster film. Again, he was brought into the Fast franchise, but he didn't carry the franchise. And I'm saying what movie it seemed like he based a lot of his success on the volume of his films, but he could never shake off the idea that he was associated with wrestling. Whereas Arnold, he came from the bodybuilding space, but again, people didn't look at he's just a bodybuilder. He was able to again become something else. And so my thing is that's the thing I'm waiting for him to see. But I don't know if he'd do it now as far as his yes, I did watch the John Wick series, but
Now, I would say this. I thought he would do that with the Scorpion King when he did the first one, and
It
I
was
thought he would
horrible.
come
The
back.
first one.
The first one, it was
I
it
disagree. I think
wasn't
it was horrible.
great. It wasn't poor. It was just mm, it wasn't
All
too
right, hang on a
well.
second. We got a question for lady. She wants us to answer this. Who wants to go first with this?
Right, Peter. They're not supposed to, but they do. I'm telling you, and that where the street shows come from, it's called sideshow when the cars slide in and burn the rubber. That's known in big in Oakland. Look it. I think you're
Isn't
referring
that
to this.
drifting still? Or am I
It,
mistaken, guys?
no, it's not drifting, but they're doing donuts. They
mm,
are
Oh, I
burning
know what she's talking
tires.
about. Yeah, they do that. It's very popular over there.
Yeah, but what Peter referring to this skill for drifting. Drifting is a very unique driving skill whereby you taking unique current and you still got control of the car and still going forward.
oh, she's
Even
saying
in the
no. I
even
don't know
in
if
the
you get it.
Even in the game called Need for Speed,
Oh,
just
hang
would
on a second.
apply.
Yeah, I'm trying to find her question right now. Which one is it, David? Do you see it anywhere? Because I know you have access to. All right, except this one here. All right, there she is. Hang on, she popped in. All right, you're live for once with us. What's up?
I was talking about the Quentin Tarantino one. I was like, no, not that one. That was a personal
Like,
message.
Kill Bill? What are you talking about?
When he got put up to Quentin Tarantino, I wanted David to talk about that one. I guess it's in
You know,
your chat. It's not in our chat when he was talking about the that one. Because you already answered the Lovely Bones one. Never mind.
if it Kill Bill, because Kill Bill he did 1 and 2, and I'm not gonna lie, I never liked Kill Bill because the choreography and everything was lame.
I agree.
And what's bad about it, I read into an article they were trying to recruit some choreographer class real after like for Jet Li or Jackie Chan to help with the choreography, and they both turned it down.
My issue with the movie, as again, I have a hard time, and I know I am not a person to talk about this, and I know Paul is going to butcher me right in a minute. This
Uh
is
oh.
I have a hard time disconnecting me as a fan, a movie fan, and a martial artist. When I see a martial art movie, I'm like, this is so fucking not real.
Mhm.
Like that's I know I'll use Karate Kid a little bit. Some of the moves are actually real. Like a crank is a jump kick. And so I can get behind that. The Karate Kid, the with Jet Li, not Jet Li, Jackie Chan. A lot
Jackie
of it was like
Chan.
BS, but the moves are real. Actually, Drunken Master was in there. The full Kuroho, when he punches, it goes
Yeah,
straight down.
let me correct you on that. That movie called Karate Kid with Jackie Chan was not meant to be the Karate Kid. It would have
No, it
been
was a
the
Kung
Kung
Fu
Fu
Kid.
Kid. And I got pissed. Look, this is something I want, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna have to really speak on this. There's a lot of mixed martial artists who have partake in mixed martial art. And when we watch certain movies and see the bullshit, we will call out the bullshit. That movie that Will Smith did with Jackie Chan is not the Karate Kid. It's the Kung Fu Kid because it's not karate. Karate is based in what country? Japan. You're doing Karate Kid in China. Where in
But do you know
China
the
they practice
history? Do you know where karate came from?
karate was based on the shogunate samurai art.
Okay, even further back. I'm gonna go way back on that. Believe it or not, karate came from China.
Yeah, but they explained that in the original Karate Kid.
Yeah,
It came
that's
from
a true
China.
story.
China is Tay.
Part two.
No, it was in one
Was it in
where
one?
Miyagi explains it to Daniel in the '84 movie. Came out of China. It's called Tay, meaning hand, and then it went to China. It went to Japan. It became karate, empty
Yeah,
hand.
right. I don't know if you guys see it right
Okay,
here. I have the symbols right here, tattooed on my arm.
okay, I get it now.
Yeah.
I understand that because the way the art form in karate was nowhere near to kung fu, and in
Let me
China,
ask you guys a question now, as we're in the topic, and I really want to hear your opinions on this. The new Cry Kid movie. Watching the trailer, what you guys' opinion is? I can't play because we're gonna get copy striked.
I didn't see the trailer either.
I might have saw like a teaser trailer of that. I didn't. Well, I think it's supposed to be Jackie Chan and somebody else in it, right? Like they're combining.
It was the original Cry Kid movie. Danny or Daniel, whatever you want to fucking call his name,
Yeah. Him and
and
Jackie Chan are going to be. I don't mind it. I mean, look, when Cobra Kai the series came out, I know we talked about I love it was very nostalgic, so I loved it. So anything they do with that, you want to bring Jackie in, you want to bring the gang back together. Again, it's fun. So I'm not going to be so like I'm not hypercritical about how I enjoyed the Kung Fu Kid or Karate Kid or whatever you want to. Yes, I recognize David. It wasn't karate. Yes, I get that. But obviously, again, we're talking about a different property or franchise. Clearly, that's a studio decision. So wait a minute, Karate Kid is very popular, and if we want this to sell in, I don't think it would have made a difference at all in Asia if you would have named it Kung Fu Kid. But in America, yeah, you better leverage on. People love to leverage on famous brands. It's all about branding here. So they could have named it something else, but kung fu is not as in the minds of Americans as karate is, and you had the successful franchise, not all the films, but a successful franchise with the Karate Kid. So yeah, they're gonna say, look, a producer or exec said, look, you need to name the movie Karate Kid, or you don't get funded. I'm sure that happened.
I just saw the glimpse of the new trailer you're referring to, and I saw Jackie Chan visit Ralph. Cho- Okay, you know what?
Nacho.
I I see what you're coming with a new one because here's the thing.
I
If
got
anybody
more
watches, if anybody watches anime on Netflix, what's happening
anime.
became
You mean the
extremely
show
popular. I'm trying to get the name of it. Um,
Cobra Kai?
no, not Cobra Kai. Hold on, Eli. What that movie? What that anime we watched? Have it adult rated with that kid with the champion on the underground? What the name of it? No, not Tekken. Not Kengo Show. The other one. Yeah, Baki. Baki the Grappler. The anime
So
called
hang on a
Baki the
second, David.
Grappler.
Let me add a little more. Let me add a little more season to his soup we're building right now. All right.
Hmm.
This is gonna be a precursor of Cobra Kai. They're now you're gonna talk about Cobra Kai. They're gonna forget about Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai doesn't
Hmm.
even exist in this world.
Hmm.
That's where I have an issue a little bit. Like second issue, I have they were literally advertising all over Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, you name it, all over every social media. We're looking for the next Karate Kid. Put your applications in. And less than 6 months, we have a trailer already out. I think
Which
the
is
movie
crazy.
got rushed.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
And this is
Or they already found the person, they're just promoting it like that. You'll be the next Karate Kid. We're looking for Mr. President. You're the next Karate Kid. Whatever the case is. I get it. I get it. It's a movie. They're gonna promote it, and they're gonna find every stupid way to promote a fucking movie. I get it.
Yeah, like I said, they're gonna leverage on again brand. Like yeah, America is all about branding. So again, if it's a popular brand that you can link yourself with, they're gonna do it. But again, it's a different entity than like I said, a book or anything else. Like I said, a book costs you nothing. A book is all about what's in here, and you can write whatever you want, and then people decide if they want to do it or not. But even then, you try to get a book published depending on who you're dealing with, they may want you to change some things in the book. Hey, we like the concept, but could you change this or that? Could you add this or that? So even a book publisher is going to try to change your stuff.
no, that is very true. But here's the thing. When I mentioned that adaptation, no, thing called Baki the Grappler. Baki, the well-known manga book that it had one the massive fan base, and they made the anime of it, and the anime was based off the manga, which was iconic. And it got so huge that when they brought it over here, now here's the thing about manga and comic book. I'll give you a short summary. Manga is not like comic book is not like manga. The people that create these manga, they create them based on either historical issue or based on martial art or based on a storyline they had to build a foundation on. And the way this thing was built up on, they was also giving me history lesson of certain art. They were giving me history lesson of the history of kung fu, history lesson of karate, history lesson of type. They were mentioning the root and how long it dated back to when he was mentioning karate came from China. I had to think about it. I was like, maybe you have a point on that one. That would be another discussion. We should talk about origin of martial art, where it originally came from, how it went from here to here. Maybe we'll
We can
have
do so
that
on
type
that.
of
I'm okay with that.
what were brought in for martial art and killed the so there's no expense in the quad. Okay, Sonny Chiba is an old good. Gordon Liu, I understand who he is. Young Wang Ping, I don't know who that guy is. So I'll look into that. But this is something I've been trying to point
Time
out
out a second,
because
David. Whoever wants to watch the trailer of the Karate Kid, I just posted in the chat before you watch it because I can't play it because I don't want to get striked again.
I
Right.
know we're not big enough to let us showcase something. We're not like Jedi Mike who had that person do such a thing. So shout out to Jedi Mike. This is something where I'm trying to point out because when we come to movie production, when you're doing adaptation, I get what Paul is trying to talk about. It may not be close to, it might be what I get it, I understand, but you know, you make the word adaptation. 9 times out of 10, it can give people a better taste of what they read and see the movie be
Yeah,
completely
and again,
useless.
but again, like I said, you see it in the trailer, based on, even when it says stuff like based on a true story, they're gonna change it. When we're talking about works of fiction, even on real life stories, they're gonna change some things to make it more interesting in the movie. They're gonna change some character names or amalgamate some characters or whatever. So like the times and dates and things may not be necessarily what they need to be. So again, you already it's so yeah. If you're like a history, like if you're big into like history, right? Political
Hmm.
history, famous presidents or times or
Military
periods.
history, for my example.
Yeah. So if you know your stuff, you can watch that film and be like, or even like I said, if you we talked about this before when we had the military guys on CQ and Angry Elf and
Bob and those
whatnot.
guys.
Again, he even said, look, he loves Top Gun, but is it accurate in terms of like how they do stuff? It's like, but he can, but again, he can still enjoy it because again, he recognizes it for what it is.
I get it. I get it.
Oh, I'll give you a great example. I'm a huge Top Gun fan. That is one of the movies that got me into military stuff and in military,
Same,
whatever.
same.
Maverick wasn't as good. I can respect the movie still. I can respect what they did with it. I can respect how they trained for it because they were actually in real
Yeah,
F-15s.
the most realistic flying. You talk about being in the from a cockpit view, the flying and everything. Very realistic, very better than Top Gun in my view. So yeah, I mean, like I said, it's you know yeah how they do things, maneuvers. I've watched videos of people in the military, fighter pilots, naval pilots, what's wrong, what they got wrong, what that yeah, you can do all of that. And it's not to say that they don't it's not like they don't bring military consultants in on these films, just like they bring in martial arts experts, as Eric was pointing out, on these
It is
martial
true.
arts
It is
films.
true.
They do. But they understand too. It's like, look, we're trying to again, it's about entertainment. If it's
Right.
this, and I said, how do we enjoy professional wrestling? I mean, we know they're not landing punches all the time. We know that it's gimmick. We know that, but it doesn't stop us from
Oh my
enjoying it.
god!
But professional wrestling is not based on the book.
No, but remember, back in the day, though, come on, the end up back in the day in the era of kayfabe, you couldn't tell a lot of people that wrestling was fake. You get into a fight, you in the
Yes,
South,
yes,
and you went up there and said, "Oh, wrestling's fake." The guy who's a big fan of wrestling, you get into a fight. Right?
that is
They
true.
Hey,
sold
you
it
know
as
what?
such.
I'll tell you a funny story that really happened. My uncle was a humongous. My uncle Pete was humongous wrestling fan. So he was at WCW event.
Mhm.
So he was at the back. Wrestlers come back and forth. He got in an argument with a wrestler, but not any wrestler. Bang Bang Bigelow. He got an argument with.
Oh hell no!
And my godfather, my uncle was a huge motherfucker. So I don't remember I don't remember because I wasn't there, and I'm hearing this from my mom. Like, I don't remember what they argued about. So at some point, my uncle goes, "You know what? I can take you in the ring." He goes, "Okay, let's go." My uncle got his ass whooped, of course, but this time my uncle was in a fucking ring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
again,
I
so
I
we're,
I,
we're
I get it.
yeah. I mean, we're again, we're kind of like we're kind of hypocritical about some of this stuff,
I get it. I
and
get it.
rather than just enjoy it. It's meant to be enjoyed. You're there with your friends. You're meant to hang out. You're having fun.
No, I get it. But here my own pushback. Yes, movie are entertainment, saying our TV shows. They're supposed to be adaptation of the book, so to speak. My thing would come to creativity. If you will be adaptation, either you get close to it or you do it better. You don't do piss poor. And the way I'm saying it because I believe the level of directors and producer in America have gone a nosedive. They have never tried to get better. 'Cause a lot of these producers that I've seen that producing movies don't have no idea how to produce a real good movie or a masterpiece or whatsoever. There's something that will make you want to come back and watch it again and again and again and again. Because backdoor era, we have movies that came out in the 80s and 90s that was so goddamn good, you willing to go back and watch it 10 more times. Because it's that entertaining. A lot of movies that been
Yeah.
coming out, they're not even iconic. It is piss poor trash. It got so bad. It didn't even go to DVD. It didn't go to Netflix or any streaming service who willing to pay for it.
So I want to bring a little news update, everybody, really fast. I just got the news. Um, Horrible news for some of you guys. It's
What the,
official. TikTok is actually banned. They already banned it today, already. Because I know what we're
Well,
talking about, so I want to bring to everybody's attention really fast.
there you
Rest in
go.
peace.
it's what it is. It's about to happen one way or another.
I'm kind of glad I need to upload nothing in the last 2 weeks on there because I said we wasting my time.
I tried to upload the broadcast here, but it didn't pop up. So whatever they did, I don't feel too sorry for it. But
Mm.
my thing is this: when it comes to producing quality movies, it have gotten real bad in this soil, whereby people have lately decided to look outside the U.S. and see if there's better movie being produced or created. I got sick and tired of reality TV because it was nothing but we got nothing but trash. Let's be honest, there's nothing but trash TV these days.
Oh God, yeah.
They're very much and
Great example. The Jersey Shore.
oh, please don't remind me.
Dave, you know what? David's favorite show.
No, I saw the first episode and I wanted to piss on it.
Mm.
That
Can we bring
it's
it
like
back to the just the
Movies.
yeah, but
yeah,
go
because
for it,
I'm
bro.
thinking the only way you're gonna try to satisfy some folks is you got to make the author of the book the writer of the screenplay, or let's just talk about that. A screenplay is not typically the book or the novel. The mindset of someone writing a screenplay is drastically different than a novelist. It just is. So again, if you want it in its purest form, you're gonna have to give the writer of the book total creative control over the project. And he has to be the writer of the screenplay of the film.
Meaning he had to break down what actor will do what based on the novel.
Correct. And then also, but then I think you lose something there. Because again, the great actors, again, a lot of the stuff that we see, those great lines in films, a lot of that stuff is impromptu.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You just in the heat of the scene, you're going back and forth with somebody or whatever. You got to just let the actor just do what they do. It may not be exactly what was in the book or the energy of the scene, but you got, like I said, the scene with Flint talking about the Indianapolis disaster in World War II. You just got to let that ride. So again, screenplay is not the novel. You can take inspiration from it, but you have to flesh it out in a way that again that is going to also appeal to the larger audience. As if you didn't write, you didn't the and let's face it, most movie books, especially to now, again, 50 years ago or 60 years ago might have been different.
Hmm.
But again, how many people actually read today, like like novels
Thank you.
and things of that nature? So I mean, the audiences for books
I see
is
what you're
going to
coming
be
from.
different. Is going to be different because again, I think you have fewer readers. We're in this again. Well, we were in the TikTok world until a few minutes ago, but again, how many people after work, you know,
Yeah.
how many people curl up with a good book at night? I mean, out of 10 people, you may have maybe one or two at the
You know what,
most.
Paul? I have a question for the chat for everybody. Please let me know what was the last book you read from beginning to the end. You don't have to tell me. Give me like 6 months ago, a year ago, 15 years ago. like David's case in the 1800s era, whatever it was. Let me know when's the last book you read. Go ahead, Paul. Finish up what you're saying. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah, so I'm just saying I think that's one of the few ways you're going to ensure again integrity of the product. Unless you are, like I said, unless you're George Lucas who wrote the Star Wars, but we already know the Star Wars, or it was initially titled Journal of the Wills, Luke Starkiller, and all that. Again, we never even saw, and he's the writer, he's the producer. This is his baby from inception. But even he knew he couldn't deliver everything that he wanted in Star Wars, and he's the guy who wrote it. So
Yeah, I think
again,
he
you
changed
had
the script a few times.
yeah. I mean, look, you got studio execs, you got who never had. I mean, Alan Ladd, Ladd Ladd is the reason why we have Star Wars. It wasn't for Alan Ladd at the studio. He was the only guy who believed in George Lucas's vision and for the project. Everybody else wanted to kill it. Thought it was a hokey film or whatever. They wanted to kill it. He was the only guy who stuck behind him or whatnot, and that's how we got Star Wars produced. Everybody else thought this is silly. They didn't even know what they didn't know what they had their hands on. But again, George wrote it. But again, if you look at the original story, we've never seen Luke Starkiller in any Star Wars visual presentation. At least to my knowledge. You guys may know more than I do, but I've never seen. But he was a major figure in the Star Wars, which was the book, the 1976 novelization. He was a major
Ask that
figure
question
in it.
again. Who was it?
Luke Starkiller.
It was a Return Star Wars Force Awakening, I think it was 1 or 2.
No,
Star Killer?
no, it was Starkiller Base. They made rest of that, but the
No,
character
it
of
was a
Luke
character called
Starkiller,
Star Killer.
yeah, the character was Luke Starkiller. I mean,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was it was PS3, I believe they gave me. David, help me out here. PS3, I think it was called Star
no,
Killer.
I'm talking about the movie franchise. I'm not talking about the extended universe or whatever. I'm talking
Oh no,
about
he wasn't in it. You know,
that's what I'm saying. So he had to again he had to make some revisions to make it work. Some characters he didn't even have. Like Yoda wasn't even a character. He didn't write Yoda until Empire Strikes Back because he wanted Allen Guinness to it. But once he killed Ben off, he knew he needed, Luke needed to train on somebody. He couldn't just be a ghost figure for the whole film. So he created Yoda directly for Empire Strikes Back. So again, things evolve. Things, have a, you know, but you can't be so, so fixed. But yeah, but that to me, that's the only way you're gonna have any kind of, if Tolkien, you talk about Lord of the Rings was maybe 60% of the book, unless you had Tolkien alive today or when it was made, I don't think you would have had, you know, that's the only way I can see it being even any more than it was. And then even still, now again, going back to the Jaws example, they bought the rights to produce the film for like $100,000. So if you are the writer and you decide to sell out, don't be mad at the producers or whatever. They basically when you sell your rights, they tell you up front, we can do whatever the heck we want with this. If you're so much about your artistic integrity, then don't sell out. Or you make a contract where it's like, look, if you're going to make a film with this, you have to keep it 100% the way it is, or else I'm not selling. Have all that, have lawyer after lawyer, hire every lawyer that you possibly can. So that there's no loopholes in it. But if you sell the rights to yeah, we like your stuff. We want to make a film. We really like your stuff. We'll give you $2 million. Are you guys? And let's say if you wrote the thing, are you turning that down?
fuck no.
Okay. And then they decide to go and butch. Like I said, I can only upset at Disney and Kennedy. George, you sold out, brother.
I got a little back. I got a little backstory on that I know of. So George, towards the end, when he was selling, he was burned out. He was completely burned out of the franchise. He had the books written already, the script, I should say. And he was just so burned out with it. He just wanted to pass on to somebody who can do justice to it. He thought Disney's the only company could do justice to it. He had other offers on the table. Now, fast forward to like maybe right in the COVID, beginning of COVID, he was disgusted with his franchise. He literally tried to buy it back from them. And Disney told him, "Yo, fuck you,"
Nope.
pretty much told him.
You sold yourself to the devil.
Absolutely. You didn't sell yourself to the devil. You got rid of your soul, and you just went. All your hard work got drained. I
Yeah.
remember watching a Force Awakens in the theaters when Disney first had it. My girlfriend at the time, me and her look. I looked at her and go, "What the fuck did we just watch?" I went back and watched it a couple times. It's really not as bad as you think it is if you give it effort. But you have to get out of mindset. This is not George Lucas Star Wars anymore. Once you get out of that mindset,
Yep.
it's not a bad movie. And that goes back to what you were saying, Paul. If you get out of your mindset, it's not a book. It's a base off a book or based true story. Then yes, that's the point of this topic tonight. To get through people's head. And I wanted to push back on, but this will piss you off, actually. Let's see if I get you wired up today. I'm gonna be honest, I just want to get you guys wound up a little bit today.
That's one of the ones, man. Because again, growing up, it was just a constant. I'm just debating.
Argument, I agree with you.
It was just all the time, and I'm like, I just want to have a good time, guys. I want to laugh. I want to experience or whatever. I want to
I'll
have,
give you a great example, Paul. When Spider-Man 2004 came out, I was at a comic book store,
Mhm.
and these guys were arguing. So me being me, I go, I'm gonna put my 2 cents in this. I was a teenager. These guys are older. I probably like your age now, around 50s. All right. I go, what's the big deal? Peter Parker does not win any web shooters. Oh, I started an argument. They're about to fight each other about that. Like, but here's a one. I would say it wasn't close. It wasn't close, but it was a good version of it. And there are a
Mhm.
couple versions of it. Batman.
Again, go back to, and that's why I talked about the comic strip. How many incarnations
That's my
of
point. That's why I'm
Spider?
bringing that up
Yeah,
because it's a different version. But I like it like that. The only Batman I didn't like is the last one. That was fucking retarded, in my opinion. This last Batman. I didn't like this movie. I think
Mhm.
it should burn the script, and they're making a second one. I don't know why,
Mhm.
but Chris, what's his fucking name from Dark Knight series?
Oh, Nolan.
Nolan. I think he did a great job with Batman,
Mhm.
and that's how dark it was originally. Before the car, before everything, when he was just jumping rooftop to rooftop, it was dark. He carried a gun actually back in the day. Believe it or
Yeah,
not. That's why they developed his grappling hook like a gun, kind
yeah.
of give homage
Yeah, they
to.
definitely made it more fleshy. Now, look, me, I'm a bit of a stylist. My favorite Batman movie is the '89 Batman.
Oh, that's a good movie
To,
too. I'm
so,
not denying that.
to this day. So I that noir look of things and whatnot. That's still my favorite. I love, but again, I appreciate all of them. The Batman movie that came out a couple years ago. I liked it, but again, I did a disconnect. They're like, this is a new thing. I'm not going to compare it to Nolan, and I'm not gonna compare it to the original Danny Elfman either. It's either going to stand or not on its own. And I could live with the only series I didn't like. I didn't like the Schumacher editions of Batman, Batman and Robin. You know, with Arnold. And all, again not a fan, but again, I'm not tying it to any of the any of the any
So,
of the other ones.
okay, two things on that. Depends which Batman we're talking about. Yes, but did you watch The Flash? Any chance?
The Flash movie that came out last
Yeah,
year. No, I didn't get a chance to see it yet. I heard it was
watch it.
terrible. But I will. Yeah, I will definitely watch it. But I'm,
The reason I say watch it is because they have when Batman comes in. It
yeah,
wasn't
I
a
know it's
Flash
the
movie. It
'89
was a
Batman.
Batman
Yeah,
movie.
I know enough to know who's in it. So
Yeah.
I can definitely, yeah.
So it did justice to it. Now we have a question in the chat. And I'll let you guys take over. And I'll give you my opinion in 1 second. Where is it? Here we go. Let's tell me what you guys. Who was the best Joker in your opinion, guys? Paul, you want to go
Oh
first?
wow. Oh wow.
Oh, I know which one's the best Joker. I'll fight you over it too.
Wow. The best. I mean, look. I mean, Nicholson. Again, at the time, obviously, I may have an affection for Nicholson, but I gotta tell you, I mean, from the Dark Knight, that guy. I mean, it was memorable. I mean, it's like burned and etched into my mind the characterization that he imparted there. But
Why so serious?
but I gotta say, yeah, I gotta go with Jack. I think he, yeah. But that
Okay.
performance, and it's eerily too because he died. I mean, the guy, didn't. I don't even know if he saw the finished product or not. But I mean, Heath Ledger, uh, that was, you talking about leaving it all on the floor, literally. He did that, and yeah, I mean, but I remember walking out of The Dark Knight like stunned, like what did I just watch? In this thing. So yeah, it definitely, but 89, 80, I think 89 changed like superhero movie making. Just like the 78 Superman, that was like a big milestone. The next one was Batman 89, and then probably the one after that was the Spider-Man 2002. Even though it was different than what people were expecting, but again, that without those three movies, interesting too, they were like 10 years apart. But those three enabled for all these other films to be made.
I would say Heath Ledger to me is my best version of the Joker because, like Mr. Paul said, he laid everything on. And I hate to say it, when people came out watching The Dark Knight, everybody was saying, I don't know what to tell you, but this might be the very best Joker version ever. Because if you talk about the description of the Joker character, not only the guy nailed it, you think that he was actually really the real Joker incarnate because it was that uh he he made the Joker come out look completely real. And I bet everybody who saw them was afraid that that could be the real Joker in real life in real time because if that's the case, who would be our real Batman? Because the way he portrayed Joker, it was scary, was on point, he was unpredictable, he was psychotic, he was twisted. Even these drug lords was even the level of fear he put in these underground drug lords, underground crime boss. They were like, "Oh hell no! I do not want to cross this person. He is sick, sick." But the comic book describe him that way, and may his soul rest in peace. It took a toll on him mentally speaking because for an actor who was trying to dig, this is why I wanted to argue with Mom to Paul about actors. To me, British actors are well trained to be better actors than the United States actors. They don't try to put their own 2 cents. They're supposed to imitate the character. And Heath Ledger did just that, and then some. So this is the reason why I have an issue with American-made movie because a lot of actors here in the U don't know how to be an actor. You may have to go to British actor school and learn how to be a real actor. Because that's the issue. That's why we have too many pinpoint movies out here. What Heath Ledger did at the Joker, I'm s- I don't think anyone can top that. Nobody can. He personified what Joker's supposed to be without adding his own catchphrase or anything in it. That is the masterpiece of being an actor. Not like The Rock want to put his no, be an actor. portray the character, be the character. It's not that easy. So this is why I have an issue with a lot of poor productions that have been coming on for the past decade. And I wonder when we have real actors who will do the job correctly.
So, my opinion, and we all voted right on this. We all agree on this. Heath Ledger was number one. I know some people say it was what's his name?
Jack.
Jack. I
Yeah,
disagree.
I don't think I gave a definitive. I mean,
No, I know you didn't.
it's
I'm
this for
saying
me.
people that have conversations in general in the world. Everybody goes back to Jack or Heath Ledger. Heath Ledger, I looked it up. Heath Ledger's number one Joker. He literally had mental issues after this. He had some mental issues before, but this fucking pushed him over the edge. Obviously, the poor guy is not with us anymore because of this fucking
And
movie.
according to Lady Navor, Jack even voted for him as the best Joker version because he nailed the character
Yeah.
perfectly.
How many people can I say have a catch line, a poster made after them? Why so serious? That was creepy posters, and also, like one of my favorite scenes were like, "Did I tell you I got
It happened with
scars?"
Jack also.
I'm
I mean,
sorry.
Jack. Remember, Jack was the one who said, "Wait, they get a load out of me." They ran with that back in the day for a while. So again,
Hmm.
Yeah.
he had his memorable things. They did merch. They did all kinds of stuff off of him. Also, he was definitely up there. The only one who absolutely abhors, as you can see in the chat, Eric. He never liked Heath Ledger or whatever. He said Eric, he's his own man. He goes off of
Oh, I don't know. I might have to, stop being in a fan zone now because it's like.
he just thinks differently when it comes to this.
But hang on. My thing I was gonna say is this movie came out in '08. We're in 25 now, and people still remember why so serious after all these years. But one movie I did, I think it was, I don't want to say bad. I just didn't like it. I'm not gonna say it was bad. I can't because I have my own opinion. The Joker, the backstory of the Joker. If you're a hardcore Batman fan, you know that's not the real backstory. First of all,
Right.
second of all, I like the actor.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Well, again, if we're going to use a comic book standard, you say it's not the background. What if they decide to change it? We're going
Oh
to give
yeah,
them a
that's
new
what I said.
backstory. We're
That's
going
what
to
I.
renew.
That's why I said I didn't like it. I'm not using the back comic book backstory. I just didn't like the movie.
Right.
I watched it 3 times. I fell asleep twice out of 3.
Yeah.
And the second one is even worse. I heard because that was a
I heard
sing
that too.
along.
I heard that too.
Yeah,
But I'm just thinking, what if my only thing with this, because the actor, I mean, the guy's like the guy who plays him. I mean, the guy's award winning. I remember Johnny Cash movie and whatnot. He was in Napoleon a couple years ago. Quality actor.
yeah, he was in Ladder 49.
So I'm just saying. So what if if they brought him into the Batman universe, either in the Nolan series or maybe the original, like or the Batman franchise now? Because I don't know if that was ever the plan to bring him
I don't think
into
it was.
the Batman. But what if they did? I'm just saying, what if he was that? Because again, the guy can act. I forget the guy's name, but he's a great actor.
Jonathan Phoenix.
Joaquin
Joaquin
Phoenix.
Phoenix.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
I
I
mean,
put that. I apologize.
he's been acting for a long time. I think he was a child actor at first. He's done a
No,
lot of good
I'll
work.
name a couple of his top movies: is Gladiator, Napoleon, Her, Walking the Line,
That's
Signs,
Johnny Cash movie. Yeah.
Brother
Yeah,
of the Bear, The Master, Parenthood, The
he did a lot of
Village,
good movies. He did a lot of good movies. He did a lot of
Ladder
good
I'm saying
movies.
49.
he could bring if you wanted to bring the Joker or have him play Joker, but again, more in line with the Batman franchise rather than like an independent property as they try to do with his. I think he could pull it off. I think he has that. And again, we saw him in Gladiator in all these movies. He's got that kind of psycho side to him that would, I think, could make you believable, or you could be terrified of him. I think he's got that side of himself. He can play that psychotic who can scare you. I think he has that capability. So I wouldn't rule him out, especially if they're going to come out with a Batman sequel. Joker wasn't in the first one. I think Penguin, And I forget who the other guy was, but Joker wasn't in the first one. So what if you? I think it was Riddler, but who you bring in as the main villain that you build up to?
For which one? Which Batman movie are you talking about?
The Batman, the new one, the one that came out in 2019 that come
Riddler,
out with
yes,
the
it was
sequel now.
Riddler.
Yeah. I'm
You're
just
right.
saying, if you brought this guy in and yeah, maybe change up, tweak it a little bit that he's more like the Joker than that's in line with the series. I think he has the chops to bring out that kind of psychotic guy that again leaves you shaken by his level of psychosis.
So I want to,
like Heath Ledger.
yeah, I want to bring this
Yeah,
comment
I'm
up a
saying he
second
would be.
here.
Yeah,
So Danny DeVito was an okay Batman, but I know you're not a big gamer, but Paul, I know you. I mean, David, you are. You play Dark Knight? Any chance?
Play the game.
Yes.
Yeah, I played it. Yeah.
Marry the Penguin. He was a short guy. Like he had he was talking a certain way. You know what I'm saying?
hmm
He was a fucking penguin. The guy. The
Danny
way he wrote him.
DeVito, no, Danny DeVito played the Penguin perfectly well. He brought the character of the Penguin out perfectly. I had to give him props for that, and he did it very very well. But what I'm trying to point out is this: there's not too many actors in the U.S. know how to be an actor. Because when you talk about acting and you're portraying a character, the character you portraying has nothing to do with your personality. You turn yourself off and you embody the character who you're supposed to embody. And they teach that in British acting school a lot. American acting school, well, you just do whatever you feel like, or people bypass the acting school and pick people from wrestling, people from the rap industry, people from whatever, or the thing they got their chop into and they throw their own little mix with. That's the problem. This is why how many times you hear me say this? If you want a better movie be done, take that book, give it to Japanese directors, and let us do a masterpiece, and they will give you a masterpiece because they understand if they're going to portray this book, it has to be as close as possible. Or take to the British. British more than likely will have to do the same thing too because they understand the artwork. But anyone in the U.S. for some apparent reason is piss poor. What would you expect from the movie industry in America when they give you crappy ass shows, crappy ass movies? What would you expect from them? It's hard for you just to tell me what is an iconic movie within the last decade. It's kind of hard. It's very very hard because the better would is correct. There's so many being debate about book versus movie versus book. But I'm bringing that to present time from 2024 to 2014. How many movies within that time frame was a masterpiece? And I bet you it may not be more than 20, it'll be less than 20.
yeah. It's not many that I
All right, hang on a second. I want to play a small video. I know I won't get strike for this one. I gotta
I hope not.
behave. All right, this is the Penguin in Dark Knight, and tell me he doesn't look like.
Someone cut the mask off his face. No need to be gentle.
So that is a Penguin to me. Now to Eric's little comment, be a perfect fit. Eric, my dude, how can I put this? You're wrong. Very simple. You're wrong. He's a good actor. I'm not denying that. A great actor, actually. But I don't see him a Joker. I see him as maybe Joker's bodyguard.
Hmm.
But I don't see him as a Joker. I don't. I'm sorry. To me, Heath Ledger is scarred in my memory. So he's the Joker. Any Joker they bring, I'm not gonna be happy anymore with him because how
Oh,
if
wait a
somebody
minute. You
comes
got
in,
so you can't be so buried in the past that you can't let stuff
No,
go
no,
on.
I was
no,
about to
no.
go there. Now, give me a second. If you give me an actor who can do a better job than Heath Ledger, hats off to you. If this guy does better, James Masters, right? Did I say it right?
Marsters, I think.
Monsters. Oh, he's running away now. He's done talking to us. He says good night. Eric, I'm sorry, man. I didn't even piss you off. I apologize. But I
Here's the
gotta be
thing.
honest.
Let me help you with this one. This the thing. There's certain actors who do excellent job because they apply themselves to the job. They apply themselves to the character, and they bring out the best idea or the best version possible. But there are too many actors who have been dropping the ball. You know what I'm saying? And this is
I
why
do.
I'm very critical when it comes to certain movies. I don't care about the actors. My question: can they play that particular part correctly? Look at Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise going to be a well-decorated actor, right? But he failed in a lot of movies.
Mhm.
And you know why? I'll give you why. He plays Tom Cruise always. He doesn't play the character.
Bingo!
There are a lot of actors do that.
And the worst one he did ever. How in the world would they give that part of John Reacher to a short ass dude when the book described it as a big, tall, tank like? The word tank means he's not husky. He is brolic. He's a monster. He's a
Mhm.
beast. He will run through you and then some. He will take you to the war and say, "Hello, this your new girlfriend. Kiss the war." That kind of dude. Well, look at Tom Cruise. He might pick my ear, take a cotton swab and do my ear for me. That's the kind
Mhm.
of dude you look like to me. And he's not the only one not doing that. There are too many actors don't know how to act, but somehow they want to forfeit up with some crappy ass movies, and
Look,
then they
it's
play.
like I said earlier. How much money did it cost to write the Reacher series? Again, it's a totally you writing all you in the only audience you're looking to satisfy for the most part is yourself when you write. Then after that, then you try to satisfy the publisher. But when you're in the film space, it's a like I said, it's such a different world. Now, to now again, I agree with you when it comes to that kind of physicality. Now, the thing that got me said now Black Panther 2, I love the backstory of Namor, the story of it.
Okay.
What I did not like was the physicality because Namor, if you look at him again in the comics, he's big. He's like 6'3", 300 pounds. He's a brick. Dwayne Johnson should have been Namor. If you want to, say that kind of physical specimen, he's a brick. He's lift
Or
80
the guy
tons
who played Aquaman,
or him, yeah. But you can't obviously. I don't think you can bar him from the,
DC. I know you can't do
I
that.
don't think you, yeah, I
That's
don't think you can cross play
infringement.
like that. At least not
Infringement.
under contract anyway. But I'm just saying, someone
No,
like
they're not.
that.
If there've been actors who play two different franchises.
Not in the
DC.
same, but again, I think they're still married. Now with the DCEU disbanded and they're trying to put it back together, yeah, he could probably switch if he wanted to. But I'm just saying
But,
in that role,
who was it
he
again?
was still under DC. He was still under DC at the time, so he couldn't play Namor in Black Panther 2. He couldn't. So I'm
Let's see.
saying, but that's what I'm talking about. That kind of physicality. Because
Mhm.
Namor is like,
A beast.
he's fought the Hulk. He's the brick.
He's no pushover. He's figure.
Exactly.
His figure was scared the hell. He's more like uh,
But the guy who played Namor in Black Panther 2, he had like no muscle. I'm like, no musculature whatsoever.
and that's where the problem come to play with.
Yeah, so that I can see and that has mostly never changed about the character over time. I mean, any incarnation of Namor, he's again cast as this very muscular. He's the strongest because he's a mutant. He's the strongest Atlantean, and he's one of the strongest humans, especially when he's in the water. He's almost unbeatable in the water.
Hmm.
You expect that kind of physicality, and I didn't see, even though the guy may have been a good actor. That's the one thing also that I disagree with. I think a lot of times studios they want to now I mean, this is where I may disagree with you a little bit on David, is that a lot of times when picking, they pick the actor over the physicality. I think their mindset now is like we can make him into whatever we wanted to make him in.
And
But I
that's
don't
what I
even
have,
think they did that. I mean,
and
we've
that's what I
seen
have an
actors, we've
issue with
seen
American movie industry because they did the same bullshit with Doctor Strange. The ancient one was supposed to be a Asian individual, not a woman when
well,
a
right,
skull,
they
and
made
that
a play on that in the movie because remember the man who came out with no arms. Everybody said, okay, that's the ancient one, right? Because everybody he kind of fit the profile, but then they brought her out. Yeah, so yeah, I definitely agree. I think when you take such liberties with changing that's fixed. Again, you can play around the edges, plot point origins, and stuff like that. But again, when you have such a title or a character in your mind that's etched in, that's always been there. Yeah, it's difficult when you see something. But the guy who played Namor in Black Panther, like they say in the gyms, bro, do you even lift? That's that's the first thing I asked, bro. Do you even lift? I mean,
and
because
that's
we've seen
and
guys
now
transform their
you
bodies. We've seen
understand why I
we've seen Henry Cavill. We've seen Wolverine. The guy Hugh Jackman. We've seen these guys get pretty jacked for being regular guys. We've seen that.
now you
I
understand
don't
why
think this guy trained at all.
but now you understand what I say about the movie industry.
Yes,
We ended doing paid
that's what
for.
I'm saying. Yeah, that's what.
Wolverine,
Yeah, I said
Hugh
all that too.
Jackman.
Yeah,
Hugh Jackman was considered to be the perfect adaptation of Wolverine. How he had that goodness in him.
yeah.
And if I remember correctly, Hugh Jackman is the British actor, is he not?
I thought he was Australian, but
Australia. But if for but I'm sure the acting critique they have is based on a British standard.
possibly, yeah. But I'm just
So
saying,
this
but that's how they pick. But I'm saying that only works so far. Like I said, Arnold, I would none of us would say Arnold is a great actor, but he was Conan from day one.
he got the builds. He
That's what I'm
got the
saying.
That's
So
why
structure.
I'm
He got
that's
saying
why he
that
got the bill. The
you
role.
cannot quite get away. You can't always. It's about you always try to strike a balance, right?
yeah.
Yes, he should be able to act, but he should also be able to have a presence. He should have the physicality, and you can't just put a guy in the gym. Yeah, Christopher Reeve was able to pull off. He had nobody, none. They put him with Dave Prowse, who played Darth Vader. He gained 20 pounds and looked great for Superman, at least the Superman of the 70s. I mean, his Superman 70s body wouldn't quite fit it today, like Henry Cavill's or something,
Hmm.
someone like that. You get, the standard has gone up.
Hmm.
But again, you can only take that so far. But with Namor, they said bump the physique altogether. I think the guy had almost like a beer gut. He didn't even have abs. I'm like, come on, man. I mean, you got to give
The
me
same way they
some.
did Tom Cruise, bump the height. Tom Cruise okay.
Yeah, you got to have something that makes me want to believe. That's like when you have. That's what I don't even like in wrestling now. When you have basically cruiserweights when they used to take on like the big guys, right? Like
Oh, the heavyweights.
yeah, it's ridiculous. Like Rey Mysterio has no business beating the Big Show. It just doesn't. Yeah,
No, it was a better one. He actually beat Batista at one point for the title,
it's
and he got his
ridiculous.
ass whooped by him.
It's ridiculous. I mean, even in real life, that would never be a. So again, you gotta sell me
There's
on it.
only one way anybody can beat him with this. Now, if you throw a Kamakama way, a Big Show, I think he had a good chance.
I don't
Yeah,
know,
but
but I didn't even like the like. I know with the
the only
steroid
trick,
trials and all that. Shawn Michaels is champion again, beating Big Sexy and all. I mean, Shawn Michaels is a little guy. I can't see how him or even Bret Hart, for that matter, being of any physical that they can take those guys that they could take those guys on. Even then I didn't like it when Sean had that kind of run. I mean, he's no bigger than us. He's an average sized guy.
and that's what the problem with it went from wrestling to sport entertainment. So that was Vince was doing the entertainment. Then now you
Well,
have
he
all
had to
these
give
other.
the story. He had to go to the smaller guys because all that
I
pressure.
know,
So
and
yeah,
that's why
he
you
had to.
have
Yeah,
different promotions decide to say, no, you're pro wrestler.
yeah.
Like AEW, if that's we'll go back to that topic on another time, boy. You put an honest point on that. That's what I'm saying when it comes to the movie industry. You can't tell me there's not enough actors to audition
I,
who can
I
fill the
agree. There
part.
have been some strange castings over time. and again to the point it hurt the film.
And that's what I'm trying to point out because when you mention Namor, I didn't watch my Black Panther 2. I never watched it yet to this moment.
Yeah. I mean,
I
there's
didn't.
other things you may not like. There's the other you may not like about it. I'm not saying it was clearly not as good as the first one. I mean, and obviously Chadwick Boseman, rest in peace. Him not being there, that's a big hole to fill.
You
You can't
telling me?
fill that. You
You telling
can't
me?
fill that.
And this is why I said when it comes to casting of movies, I said it myself. A lot of these directors, a lot of these producers drop the ball tremendously because I don't think they can do a excellent job of casting or finding the right people. Because see, to me, like it doesn't matter if a big name says, "Oh, I want this movie. I paid it. Okay, I'll give you the," and they don't fit the. Well, no, then what then? Only in the U.S., but outside the U.S., the movie industry don't go down that way in the British nor in Japan or China. If you don't fit the part, you don't fit the part. What they're looking for, what they're looking for.
Hmm.
Here in the U.S., you just do whatever
Yeah.
and just sell it. Now it's hurting the movie theater because people are now catching on. They know what? F the movie theater. We go Netflix and chill. We go to streaming. Maybe they'll do better just to do proper actor casting. Because lately you're seeing new actors that you don't see in the theater, but you see them on Netflix or all these streaming services. Because they realize they say we're not gonna put crap products. We're not gonna do it. This is why I have an issue. Don't do adaptation of the book if you're not gonna do it justice.
So here's my issue with what you're saying. When it comes to crappy movies, I don't care how good a story the book is backing you up. If it's crap, it's crap.
Right.
I'll give you a great example, David. I'm going to do something off from your show. Guyver. The Guyver. The movie was really bad. Part two was even worse.
Mean the mobile Battle Booster Armor Guyver, the live action.
Yeah,
I'm not even gonna touch it.
exactly. That's my
I'm
point.
not. I'm not. I'm not even gonna. It's another thing I was trying to point out. What you do in anime, you may not do in real life. I I have
That's a
been.
topic for your show.
That'll be a next show we're gonna do. I'll go put that on my anime unlock because
What is it called?
I I've been trying to comprehend what made the. You think that's bad? You think Guyver is bad? Yeah, what worse? The live action Dragon Ball.
I hate you right now. I hate you. After I did come, how are you going to bring that shit up?
Oh, I have to bring that one up because I've been trying to understand why do people think you can bring something from the anime realm or the cartoon and make it real life and think you will do good with it. Another one, Fit on the North Star, another live action. That was another blow up moment. Like, do you do you even have the camera technology for that? And the reason why I'm saying it, anyone who understands Fit on the North Star, these people are punching human beings more than 100 miles an hour,
Yeah.
and you're seeing blur.
Yeah.
And the live action was so crappy. I was like, really? You smoke that much weed to think you can do this movie?
Mhm.
Were you on drugs? Which cocaine were you using? Me gonna smack that drug dealer and slap you real hard. How dare you get this drug to this director to do this type of movie? Like seriously. And
I'll
this
give
what
you
I'm
another
talking
one. It's
about.
not even based on anime. I mean, based on live action. I was never a big fan of the Mortal Kombat movies.
Really?
I know
Why?
they shot live. I know they shot live actors to do the the scenes in the game, but the movies themselves, I wasn't crazy about
It's hard. You got a point. Do adaptation of a video game and maybe live
It's even
action.
harder than anime, I think.
it.
It's much harder. The first one was alright. Second one was the latest one. I was trying to get an understanding where you coming from. That's even worse. I'm sorry. That is worse than adaptation of a book, a manga, cartoon, or anime. To do a adaptation of a video game, I got one maybe better. Street Fighter.
Movie?
Yeah, yeah.
You know they did a Street Fighter movie where M Bite looked like he was on a diet. The M
No,
Bite in that movie.
look at the Mario Brothers. I didn't like the Mario
Oh
Brothers
god,
movies
that's a
either.
horrible movie.
Yeah, so I mean, you're asking a lot, to
No, what was bad was that M Bison looked like he had COVID in that movie.
And it's before Cole was out.
No,
hmm.
anyone who watching to this broadcast, look for the old Street Fighter with my what's the guy name who did him on Gao?
I don't remember his name.
He did Bloodsport.
What, Van Damme and
Van
who else?
Damme, yeah, Van Damme. He did Gao. I
Hmm.
was not feeling it. When they showed Bison, anyone who defended the Street Fighter game know Bison was a big hulky guy.
Oh yeah, he was buff, like the
Mhm.
He was
Rock buff.
buff. He was buffer than the Rock. Rock was nowhere near that kind of build. And the fact that you brought and everybody looked like he had COVID, he lost all his muscle, he was in the hospital for that long, and he did to put him with the power. I was like, what the hell is this? EJ, thank you. After Battle Angel, that's based on another game too. I'm not all these adaptations
Was it a game? I thought it was a manga. It wasn't a game. Alita Battle Angel. That wasn't a game.
slightly from anime and also based on the game.
Hmm.
But that's what I'm talking about because when you do an adaptation of a video game, you're really asking for the toughest critic possible. Literally, they were trying
You open a
to.
can of worms there, David. You know that.
Oh, they tried to do the adaptation of Final Fantasy CGI. The American version was pit poor trash. I'll say it again, ladies and gentlemen. There are two versions of Final Fantasy movie. The American version didn't even get near to it. So the
Hmm.
producer of the game had to show American how to actually produce the movie correctly and did their own version. We were
Right.
closer to the game than the stupid ass movie America did. And they came in angry and the
Right.
fight together, everything was on point. Sometimes they did what you had. Lack of creativity, lack of emphasis, lack of effort. Final Fantasy, that's the game I'm referring to. America did their own version of the movie and they were nowhere near the movie and it was trash. The producer of that game decided to get with a production company in their country to do the movie part with CGI, and they had the technology, and not realize that they have everything built on their end, thanks to Sony. And when they did the movie, even I was shocked. I'm like, hold up. So you gotta, I'm like, you could actually turn that game into a movie and be this good?
Yeah.
They're proving a
Alright, guys.
point.
The only gaming movie that might have been, I said, good, at least for the times. I got to give it credit. Tron, the original Tron,
Okay.
1979. I thought that was pretty good. Now the Tron Legacy, not as much. I think they lost the magic there, but the original Tron movie, I give kudos to that one. I thought they did a decent, especially at the time. I think the graphics, the special
Mhm.
effects at the time were kind of groundbreaking with the CGI at the time. So I'll give that one credit. But yeah, but generally, yeah, trying to port a game to a movie is certainly is a very tall task
Tall
for
task.
sure.
It's like if you don't have the creativity to even pull that off, leave it alone. And the only people who have gone beyond to, I'm not trying to be biased, but who have the mind for that type of creativity is mostly the Japanese, second to the South Korean and the Chinese. They think
So
outside the
I think it's
box.
safely to say you love Japanese movies.
It's safe to say I like perfection, put in effort, not watered down bullshit that you get in America. It would be no different with Indian movies. They're very comical. They like to dance too much. They like to sing too much, but it's entertaining. They're not trying to give you crap compared to What I'm saying here is, let me be real here. When I mention what I mentioned, you gotta be honest with me. How often have you been eager to go to the movie theater and watch movies that have been coming out for the past 5 years? What is any movie that I want to say, oh, I got to watch this?
Hmm.
Not in the last couple of years.
That's the point I was trying to point out. They're not making great quality movie that you want to go to the theater to watch it. They're force feeding you bullshit. Even when we went in on the Transformer franchise, thank you, Michael Bay, for effing it up in the most
And your favorite
biggest way
show.
possible. You did prove a point whereby people lack the insight, or we gonna give you some fight sequence in terms from firework and then that was sell. Really? No good storyline? So you saying the American public is that dumb now? I'm just saying. Because the way you're going at it, you're telling me, yes, America is that damn dumb. You could say any trashy ass woman make money off it. So you're making me win this argument bad if that's the case. Because since we have so much trash TV, reality TV, so not making a great movie, meaning you telling me, yeah, the American society is so dumbed down. So all you're doing is proving my point. 'Cause I miss the '80s and the early '90s where you have real good ass movie that make me want to empty my pocket and go back to the theater movie again and again and again and again.
Hmm.
These days, I go,
Well, let me ask you guys this: what was the last movie you saw more than once in the last 10 years? More than once to the theater to see?
the last 10 years,
I don't remember, to be honest with you.
so it was further,
Yeah,
it was further
yeah,
back.
yeah, yeah. It's been very. I think the Doctor Strange sequel I saw more than one, only because again my daughter, she was at school, she didn't get a chance to see it, and I needed to see it again because I never saw the WandaVision
Mm,
series. So I was very confused watching the sequel because so much of it was based on the WandaVision. Now I didn't go back and watch the series. I just watched. I found a YouTube retrospective, and it talked about the series and all that kind of stuff to help me better understand what I was watching. So when I went with my daughter the second time to see it, it made a lot more sense the second time when I went back and understood what the WandaVision franchise was about because I had not seen an episode. I don't have Disney streaming service, so I never saw it. But that's the thing now with a lot of these movies. Now again, I'm trying to go see the Captain America movie coming out, and but again, how much of it is based on that series with the Winter Soldier and the guy playing Captain America. I mean, how much of it is based on that? I may have to go and do something similar, watch one of those retrospects because I didn't see the series, so I may have to see Sam and Winter Soldier and get an idea of that before I go and see the movie. So to me, that's something that is definitely changed in the last few years with these streaming series or such. You got to keep up with them and you got to keep up with the movies, and I just don't have the time to do that most of the time. So that's why I would have to do that. But that's the last movie I actually said this was so good. I need to go back and see it again. I was that impressed with it.
and this is what I've been
Nice.
trying to point out because unless they change the direction of how they produce movies, even in Black Panther, when I first watched the first Black Panther, I wanted to go back because there was too many Easter eggs they threw in the movie
Mm.
that were dealing with the cultural aspect of what the movie was more talking about. That was a movie that we're going back several times. Barney went there once. That movie was worth it because it brought a dialogue where people start to ask questions to African people that, "Hey, what they guys saying is true about?" Yeah, there's so much in there, and that people. It forced the black community, both the African American, the Afro Latina, the African and the Caribbean, to actually come together and have that conversation.
Yeah,
That movie did that.
yeah,
'Cause a lot of people didn't know some of the things was actually realistic, and the people when you start to ask the African folk, it's the truth. Yeah, there's a lot of things that the movie was throwing out there that y'all not prepared for. It opened that movie was worth watching more than 10 times. Any other movie like that? No. This what I'm talking about. When you make a real good movie, it makes people want to come back again and watch it again. Or what yet? I watch it in one regular theater, I'm gonna go to the IMAX theater and watch it better. Because the IMAX have a better experience. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So phew, I'm sorry. I'm this is one of those topic I'm gonna criticize a lot of things. I'm not gonna let go. Go Mr. Bennett was correct.
This might have been our most passionate show. I think so far. This is the most passionate hangout so far. The most argumentative in the good
What?
sense. I think great. I think great arguments. I'm not saying arguing in a contentious way, but I think great arguments have been presented tonight, and I certainly appreciate where you guys come from with stuff. But I just thought that the side of
No,
that other side needed to
I'm
be
glad I'm glad you
to be.
mentioned it because this is an old ass argument. This argument has been going on for so long. Either you're in high school or you're in college, you're out among your peers. Because whenever you talk about a particular movie, if it were piss poor or not, it leads to an argument. Even Peter noticed very well. Among his peers, you might have heard people say, "Well, this movie was piss poor," and some nah. And you listen to the argument, and they point out different aspects of the movie why it think it was piss poor or why
I'll
it
give
was
you a
great.
great example. I'll give you a couple great examples. Greek movies, ancient Greek, like Alexander Great. That was a horrible movie. Most people say it didn't follow any of the historical facts, and
Mhm.
in a way, I agree. I think it was a horrible movie and a historical. It didn't move nothing based on history. They did whatever they wanted to. But Troy was very close to historical based stories. In Alexander Great, they just used the name. Nothing else was a part of the story. But let's get
Mhm.
our final thoughts and let's get the heck out of here. Paul, you want to go first?
Yeah, I mean, this was a great show. This is one of my favorite shows. I gotta say so far. A lot of good back and forth, respectful as always. I think certainly great points were raised, but I definitely agree that again, know your expectations and temper your expectations when it comes to films, especially film adaptation. So again, look for the buzzwords based on adaptation. All right. Those kind of words, if you're seeing that buzz early on, be prepared that things will be different. Look, we didn't talk about James Bond. Most people love James Bond, whether regardless of different actors who played James Bond over time, who brought a different edge to it. But again, how many people went back and read the Ian Fleming novels? And how much did these films were like the novels except in name only? So again, we got to be careful here. We play fast and loose. We're very, like I said, very much religious and dogmatic about certain franchises and properties, but we let things go in other properties, whether it be in comic books or, like I said, the James Bond, the Ian Fleming books. But again, people just love James Bond movies because, again, why? Because they're exciting, they're thrilling. The visual medium can do things that the written medium can't do, and vice versa. I think both can be enjoyed. I think both can help the other. Like I said, if a film really does well, typically the books follow because a lot of times in these cases, the book isn't even written yet. They have to go back and write a book based on the movie because they weren't expecting the movie to do very well. So books, all media, games, toys, merchandise, everybody can eat if everybody works together. But if it's like, the book versus this or that or whatever, then again, it just makes the experience just less enjoyable There have been some great movies that have been based on or adapted from things. In some cases, I can make an argument that the movie was better. But again, at the end of the day, it's about, again, the quality of the product that you produce. And sometimes, like I said, in the case of Jaws, I think the movie was better. I think the movie did things that the book would never have been able to do. And Jaws changed how films were made. I don't think we'd have Star Wars if it wasn't for Jaws. So again, we have to, all this stuff, we have to, keep some perspective here, that each medium has its role and each medium has its place. Be free to enjoy all of it. But just accept it for what it is. So again, great discussion tonight. Appreciate the opportunity to vent. Again, you probably will never see me more animated than tonight. If I ever showed on any platform. So this is so you got a little bit more of the rawness that I've been maybe holding on to for some time, and just waiting for the show to kind of get it out. So I'll go back to my happy place, my calm, my who size, and I'll be better next time, hopefully. But that's all I got, guys. Great show.
I will say that knowing Peter, he gonna find a subject to get Peter. I mean, he'll get Paul Wall up again, like he got me plenty of time. This was one of the most passionate show ever because this hit a topic that dated back more than 30 years. If you're watching this show from the Spartan Headquarters Network or from my channel or any other people's channel, I hope that you watch it from beginning to end and you may put in a comment your own idea what movie sucks or what movie did great, better than the book or whatever, so we can continue this conversation with this have been going on for far too long. I'm not gonna lie, like I mentioned in the show, I think some of the issue with either the movie not doing too well either falls on the director, it falls on the producer, but in most cases it falls on the actors. Because a lot of these actors don't know how to be actors, don't want to be themselves, which is sucks. But this is one of these conversations that I can honestly say I have really let loose in my honest opinion, my honest view, my honest criticism because this is something right now we are in. We're in a very different environment. We're in a global market now. You're able to see movies from around the world and start comparing who do an excellent job in producing the movie and start looking at the directors who are not American based and see why they're doing better than us and see what we can learn from this. Now we are in this streaming service whereby people are not going to the movie theater no more these days. You know the movie theater is open back up, but there's not so many great movies to watch on theaters. But yet we found better movies on streaming service. So maybe to have a conversation where you have the best program, either on regular movie slash local station, or you find it more on the streaming service platform compared to cable. Maybe that'll be the next topic. I don't know, but I'm telling you right now, it becoming a big deal, and I'm enjoying the conversation. So I'm hoping to see more topic that people would think of that make Paul get more animated and get him all riled up again because it was fun, really fun to see it that way. That's my end. That's my final thought.
All right. So I will find something to get him going again. Now is my project because it was fun to see him go, wow. But seriously, guys, when you guys see the movie, just make understand is based on not actual to the T. So take it with a grain of salt, take it with a grain of whatever. Just enjoy the movie. Forget about it. If you want to have a talk conversation,
Oh, one thing I just
yeah, it's
sorry, I
fine.
didn't want to again the guys who are also the worst are scientists. Scientists watching science fiction movies. You ever see like Neil deGrasse Tyson? You ever see how he breaks down? Oh well, that couldn't work. I mean, it's like this where sometimes having too much knowledge sometimes limits your enjoyment. It's like, oh, you got to suspend disbelief. But I didn't mention that tonight. But I know scientists, They can be very critical of science fiction, but again, it's science fiction, not science fact.
Yeah.
So that's all
Oh,
I'm
you
trying
good.
to
You good.
do.
So we're going to understand like it is a movie, it's a book, two different topics. Let's keep that in mind, guys. We're gonna have a part 2 and part 3 because I have a something. I think I get Paul a little more wound up next time. I'm cooking on something, but let's go with a quick schedule update, and we'll go from there. Let me get my schedule. Give me 1 second here. All right. So, more we have drugs on the gray area. So it'll be something very serious conversation, but something good to talk about too, because cultures have huge factor on drugs. I think even alcohol. Are we gonna be talking about alcohol tomorrow a little bit? Yeah, yeah.
A little bit touch on the
So,
drugs overall.
for the rest of the week on Wednesday, episode 2 on Anime Unlock with David and Wally. They're talking about cartoon versus Japanese animation, the battle of the animation style. Good luck with that one. You're gonna need it.
Can I just
Yeah,
plug one thing as well? Tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern time on the BMU network, I'm going to be in an interview. BMU has a new show on Sundays, and I'm going to be interviewed talking about, again, parental care, especially hospice care for parents, since I went through that recently. So I will be in an interview session tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern time on the BMU network. So if you guys want to check that out, I'll be there. And I'll still obviously be on the gray area tomorrow night.
So
as well.
on Thursday on the Spartan Arena, we'll be talking about the silent shadow when people talk shit behind your back, pretty much. I'm sick of it. I want to end this now. If you guys want to say it to their face. So we're gonna break the ice with that one. And next week, ready for this, Paul? John Wick versus the Punisher, the battle of the assassins. I hope you done your homework, my man. That's all I'm gonna say. Except
Well, at least I'm caught up on John Wick and Punisher. I mean, I might have missed a couple because there've been about 3 or 4 different Punisher movies, right? Yeah, Dolph Lundgren was the Punisher, right? Back in the day, that might have been like the first movie, and then there've been like 2 or 3 iterations of it since then. So I got to get caught up on all of the franchise versions of it. But there've been multiple Punishers. So which one are we going to be discussing? That's going to be the question.
Except that, Mr. Prince, you got anything else?
No, I'm good.
Groot, David.
You mean bear paw? I answer to that.
But your theme song is
I'm sorry, guys. I'm skinny. Gooch is skinny. I'm a big man.
anyway, guys. As always, this was a Spartan Institute Network. Thank you for joining us for another edition, another episode of the Operation Hangout. As always, I am Ghost of Sparta. He is Mr. President. He is Bear Paul. As always, stay safe, stay fresh, and be safe with the snow tomorrow. Please be careful. Don't go out if you don't need to. Stay indoors. It's supposed to be a nasty one. Please be safe, stay fresh, and I'll see you guys on the next one.